Hi everyone, my name is Charlie and today is the beginning of another reading vlog. It is Monday and it's the last week of July. I don't know why, but that feels kind of momentous for me. Maybe it's just because this month seems to pass me by so incredibly quickly. I think that, as I've talked about in previous vlogs, the illness the first week, then everything the second week, and it's felt like everything's just been a mad rush to get stuff done in this last week and a half. Since last we spoke, I haven't really read much more. I am still reading The Trouble with Mrs Montgomery Hurst by Katie Lumsden, and I'm still really enjoying that book. Yesterday I got up and I finished working on this scene from the restructuring of the second Alice book, and then thought, well, let's have a look at the next chapter. And the next few chapters didn't require too much changing, really. Thankfully, they were all right as was. There were a few continuity things that I had to remove because they referenced the scene that I'd moved from the middle of the book to the end of the book. And there were a few bits where the secrets that had now not been revealed until late on in the book have been revealed earlier. And the reason that they've been revealed earlier is simply because I realised that there was no way these secrets would have been secrets. They would have been public knowledge. They would have been easily figured out by the police, so it made no sense that nobody else knew about these things either, especially when it's surrounding something going on in a small town. So I thought, let's just get rid of the riot ahead and get rid of, and bring some common sense in here. And so that's why that change has occurred. I reworked the two chapters that originally had been in the middle of the book to create more of a climax. Now, I'm still unsure about the way that the second chapter ends. It's definitely the explosive climactic scene that I wanted. I just don't know if it fits with the books being so cozy. But when my mother read this book, she did say that this book didn't feel as humorous as the first. It felt much more serious. And I can understand that. Given everything that went on last year, I can understand for me why this book has ended up being a bit more serious. So I might leave it as is and get the opinions of beta readers. The change in this chapter might have led to a character not dying, but I don't know yet. I've got to make that decision throughout today before I start writing it tomorrow. And then the only reason I've got to do this rewrite is to work into the actual final scene, and then from there write the new final chapter, because that's just who I am as a person. I recognise that the final chapter didn't work the way I wanted it to. I know that book 3 is set a couple of months after this book, and it wouldn't make sense for the characters not to have conversed about these issues already. These revelations that come out at the end of the book. That's why I think I might not do much reading over the next couple of days as I try and get this book properly finished and done with this restructuring and redrafting by August. And then that could be Thursday, me sending a call out for beta readers then. It's both exciting and terrifying to me. So today there's just me and a single volunteer in the morning, and then I don't know who's in this afternoon, so it'll be fun. Got the rack man coming, might have to do a half price rail, we'll see. But for now, I'm gonna go, I'm gonna make a coffee, and I'm gonna start off my day. It's Wednesday and I'm wearing the same shirt that I was wearing on Monday because it is stiflingly hot at the moment and I am determined to wear the loosest clothes I own. I have continued to read The Trouble with Mrs Montgomery Hurst by Katie Lumsden. I am now 150 pages into this book and I am finding it hilarious. I can see Katie's inspiration from Anthony Trollope in here, because so far I've been very much reminded of the last Chronicle of Barset and the way that that begins with all these different people gossiping about something that's gone on in the town. And so I'm liking seeing that inspiration. I don't know whether that was what Katie was thinking of when she was writing this particular portion, but I'm enjoying it. And she does have a video about her, which classic authors inspired her, so I will leave a link to that in the description. But this is fantastic so far, with great characters and some extremely witty dialogue, and I'm really enjoying the way that these characters play off one another. And you know, there are some characters that just rub you the wrong way, but it's also because of their ideas of class, which I just think is incredibly true to the time. So great job is all I'm saying. I haven't read as much as I thought I would, as is always the case, because of my own writing of the second Alice Valentine book, the restructuring that I've been doing. It's kind of everything jumbled together now as I try and remember what came where. But yesterday, it might have been Sunday, I finished writing a certain scene that was this change where I'd moved a scene in the middle of the book to the end of the book, and that changed the end so much. I also changed the ending of that scene, and it felt exceptionally climactic, and I didn't know how to get out of this. I didn't know how I was going to navigate the emotions that certain characters were feeling. There are two perspectives in this book, as opposed to the first one where it was just Alice's third-person narration, but two different characters. So we follow Alice and we follow Marmaduke for portions of the story. And I was like, that's because Marmaduke needs to be the lead of this next chapter, and that really worked, with him coming in and taking control and talking about something that had happened within this house, which then led me into what I wanted to use this scene that I'd got at the end of the book previously, and I couldn't use as much of it as I'd hoped to. I couldn't use the dialogue that I'd got there that I wanted to use, but I had to use what I could, and I feel like it worked as a good introduction into the next scene. And now I only have the final chapter left to rewrite. And that is something that is going to happen today. I have done it. I have met my deadline by the skin of my teeth. And so today I will be putting out a call to beta readers. And I don't know how many I want. It's just that the ones that I have used for a lot of my last few books, I have found are unfortunately very busy. Well, no, it's not unfortunately. I'm glad that they're busy. I'm glad they're working on their own works. And I think that it's going to be a good thing to have fresh sets of eyes on this before I send it off to an editor, so that I can edit it again, taking other people's thoughts into consideration, and then go into getting it edited. My hope is still to have it out by the end of the year, even if I don't do events until next year. But for now, I am just glad to have done what I set out to do, really. When all those weeks ago when I decided to do this restructuring, I did not think that I was going to be able to do it. And especially with the crisis of confidence I had last week, but taking each chapter by chapter and just looking at it as one single thing again before going back to the full document has really helped. And it might have added about 8,000 words to the book, but I'm thinking that they're better for it. I said to my mother when we were chatting about this yesterday, so yesterday was too hot to walk the dog. When my mum rang me at 6:30, I said I was just about to walk her because it's cooled down, and she said, well, can I come with you? And so we ended up walking through the park to the pub we went to for my birthday because they let dogs in. And over beer, I told her that the reason behind this restructuring and the rewriting is because previously it felt like the book lacked common sense. I know that it's supposed to be this Alice is a sleuth, but there was stuff in there that would have been revealed to the public and the public would have known. And I don't know why I was avoiding telling the reader that, because it would have been common knowledge. And so I think it was just that case of me as the author not thinking, I wasn't using my common sense. So now I've used my common sense, and that dictated that these changes needed to happen, and they've happened. And I think that the book is better for it. And now one fewer character dies because the character death that was originally in there changed the tone of the novel in a way that I didn't want it changed. these are ultimately cosy crime novels, and they're supposed to be light-hearted, even though murder and death is a very serious topic. And because of the way that this happened, it became too dark and too serious. And so I had to change that. And I feel like it worked better to have that change. But we will see what other people think. For now, because I've been in this room for quite a while and it's getting very warm, I'm going to go downstairs, have another drink, and set about doing that writing. So what I'll say is, I will see you on Friday. It's Friday and I've just arrived to work. Still reading The Trouble with Mrs Montgomery, Hurst by Katie Lumsden. However, I am at the 250 page mark with the hope of finishing it by Sunday. And that is because I focused on getting the restructuring and redrafting of Mistakes Mean Murder done. And I finished that on Wednesday, and then yesterday I went back through and removed words that I knew I used quite a lot. So anytime I saw a still or a no, as in K-N-O-W, I tried to remove those or recognise when it wasn't necessary for dialogue. And then I decided that I was going to format it for a proof copy. And the reason I did that is so that it can be in a different format when I read it the next time. And also, a couple of the people that I asked to be beta readers preferred that as a hard copy, and then one of them at least gives it back to me full of post-it notes and notes that they've made. And then once that's happened, I go through it all over again. I did put a call out for beta readers on Instagram. Only one person got in touch, and they say that they're going to read the first book and then get back to me whether they think that they want to beta read the second one. And it's simply because some of the people that I've asked to do this in the past aren't available this year, so that's why I put the call out. And I might go and ask some people and see whether they're up to it. It's just having more pairs of eyes look at the work and seeing what they're thinking before it goes to editing can prove beneficial. I've done it for a few writers before. Indeed, I've put it up on Fiverr as a service that I'm offering, but I think I'm too expensive because people aren't coming to me for that. I read as I was going, and I think that the restructuring has worked well. There were instances where I forgot that certain plot points no longer happened, and I'm hoping that I've caught them. If I haven't, then I can remove them in this next round of edits. But it was deleting characters that weren't there anymore. It was certain characters no longer exiting the book when they previously did and sticking around a bit longer. I completely changed the final chapter, and I really like the new final chapter. So I'm hoping other people do as well. But I don't know what I'll be doing today because I basically throughout August, I wanted to finish the book by August so I could work on a side project, and this wasn't the side project that was talking about, the new writing one that was the middle grade, because as I said before, I use those ones as books to write for a bit of fun on the side. This is one I've been talking about writing for ages, and the character came back into my head last week like, I'm only a novella, write me. And so I don't know if that's going to happen this month, but I have been, last night I did write quite a few pages of that book, so I haven't stopped really writing wise, but I might be stopping this evening to get a bit more reading done of Katie's book. It all depends on how tired I am when I leave work, because sometimes I'm so exhausted after being here that I just want to decompose in a corner somewhere. Anyway, I am going to go and make a cup of coffee, and I'll speak to you tomorrow. This has really turned into the outfit that I wear on Saturdays. A t-shirt with a bear on it that I got from the shop, which talks about Yosemite, and actually everything I'm wearing came from the shop, right down to my socks today. It's actually one of the reasons is that both our dryer and our washing machine stopped working last week, and so most of the stuff I've worn has been just having to rewear it, or yeah. Anyway, you don't need to hear about that. Our washing machine got fixed yesterday. I did not do any more reading because when I arrived home from work yesterday, it was fine. I made this vegan chili, and then out of nowhere got this huge bout of dizziness that meant no reading. Got my video online because that was something to focus on, and I have no idea what caused it. I wondered whether it was the pressure in the air due to needing to get rid of the rain, or whether it was the chronic migraine syndrome, whether I might have an allergy that's very severe to some sort of spice. I don't know. Maybe I was just being extra white yesterday. Still. That stuck with me, so I only read one chapter of The Trouble with Mrs Montgomery Hurst. Hopefully all of this abates by this evening. I'm coming to work because I found that if I just take things more slow than usual, that it really doesn't affect me too much, but it's a tough one. Anyway, yesterday I found this book in a donation. It's called The Misconceiver, and because of how bent it was, I was originally thinking of getting rid of it. But then I read the blurb, and I want to share this with you. This book was released in 1997, but it feels very apt for the times that we are currently going through right now. Phoebe is a misconceiver, an illegal and dangerous profession after the repeal of the abortion laws in 2011. In an increasingly authoritarian society, she restores to women some control over their bodies, yet her own life is restricted by the secrecy in which her activities have to be cloaked, and she has growing qualms about her vocation. Shattered by the death of a 12-year-old girl she failed to help, Phoebe leaves herself vulnerable to betrayal. Forced to confront the conflicting elements of her double life, she must choose between revenge and forgiveness, and between love and political action. Combining a compelling narrative with a superbly realised vision of the near future, The Misconceiver is a moving and unsettling novel. Yeah, so it says here that this is a powerful, painful book about the issue of reproductive rights. Plans for today. It is Saturday, so since I put a 50p sale on all of the books have been going incredibly well and quickly because people have been more likely to take a risk on something than they would before. Somebody bought 17 yesterday. Obviously the maths there, it's not the most expensive we've ever sold books for, but it's really just to get through the backlog of books that I've got, and I think I'm only going to run it until this coming Friday, and then they will go back up to £1. So I've also been telling people you need to get this while you can, because I think there is only going to be one more week of it. Need to get some more clothes out today. We have got new targets since we went through this merger, and we've been hitting them every week, but it also feels like we're maybe not hitting them as fast as the new head office would like us to be hitting them. I don't know what we can do about that. The way that this shop works is at the beginning of the week we tend to just get the shop sorted. We get loads of clothes out, we clean everything up a bit, and we just keep going through the donations until Thursday, Friday, Saturday, where we have our really big bumper days. We do a lot of pricing at the start of the week and a lot of sales at the end of the week. And yeah, we're still pricing today and we're still getting stuff out today, but for the majority of weeks that's the way it works in our shop anyway, is that at the start of the week we don't make much, and then towards the end is when everything picks up. But I think the new head office would like it if we were really making the figures we're making at a weekend every single day, and I don't know how to make that possible yet. So any ideas, do let me know. But for now, I am going to go and get myself a cup of coffee, and I don't know whether I'll practice Italian, but I'm going to do something else as well, and I will see you during the week. If you would like to talk about anything that I've talked about in this video, then please feel free to do so in the comments. I hope that you have enjoyed this video, because until next time, that is all.